Hello, I'm Dr. Shockerageous. This is going to be Chapter 2, Essentials of Body Chemistry. Essentials of Body Chemistry, Chapter 2. The key concepts of this chapter include all functions of the body depend on internal chemical activity. Again, all functions of the body depend on internal chemical activity. Atoms can combine through electrical forces called chemical bonds. Atoms can combine through electrical forces called chemical bonds. Chemical reactions occur when bonds are formed or broken. Chemical reactions occur when bonds are formed or broken. Excuse the typo. Water within the body, with its many functions, is critical for the maintenance of homeostasis. Water within the body, with its many functions, is critical for the maintenance of homeostasis. Organic compounds, proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and nucleic acids, along with water, are the main structural components of the body. Most of the energy the body needs comes from a chemical called ATP. Most of the energy the body needs comes from a chemical molecule called anerotropic triphosphate, ATP, whose bonds store usable, available energy. ATP. Everything that goes on in the human body depends on some kind of chemical activity. Without chemical activity, your muscles would be useless. Your brain and nerves would be as ineffective as an unplugged television set. The food you eat could not be chewed, swallowed, or digested. This chapter presents the chemistry you will need to understand the basic chemical processes that enable the human body to function. Matter, elements, and atoms. Everything in the universe is composed of matter. Matter, which is anything that occupies space and has mass. Mass refers to the amount of matter in an object. Mass is not the same as weight. Weight is the measurable gravitational attraction of the earth for an object. Mass refers only to the amount of matter, not its weight. Prime example, if you have a significant other and they matter, you're not going to forget or ignore how to maintain their happiness. You're going to try to get them to their proper happiness that they prefer, that allows them to know that happiness exists, and then respect what it would take for them to know that they matter. You don't want them to actually be unavailable or destroyed or misutilized. You don't want their ability to know how to identify negative energy and stop it before it depletes them. You don't want them to not have productiveness and know that they should expect happiness by the tons upon achieving goals or overcoming differences within themselves, and accepting that becoming a better, different person is even a challenge. And it doesn't have to be masked in the the gentleness necessary to provide the nutrients for the new chemical reaction, because that's a bond change that has been created and the generational curse has been broken. So it's knowing how to move forward and overcome different things. Like if a chef could cook very great, and the only compliments that her immediate family gave were criticism because of her weight. They found her flaws instead of her famousness. Her faith at test, using her oxygen to accomplish almost anything instead of being set back. Famous. So knowing how to have that ability to say the next step would be to use a neutron and say, those critiques are from people that won't correct the challenge and won't challenge themselves to find the correct ingredients. So therefore, to protect itself, knowing the difference between these two terms are pivotal. How big is an atom? Atoms are so small that the only way we can visualize their size is to relate it to objects in our everyday lives. For instance, a child's balloon filled with hydrogen contains about 100 million billion hydrogen atoms. 100 million billion hydrogen atoms. A drop of water contains more than 100 billion hydrogen and oxygen atoms. If an atom were as large as the head of a pin, all the atoms in a grain of sand would fill a cube 1 mile. If an atom were as large as the head of a pin, all the atoms in a grain of sand would fill a cube 1 mile. 1.6 kilometers on a side. So we could only imagine the potassium of the symbol K, symbolized by the letter K, potassium. Approximate percentage of the human body is 0.4. Significance to human body: essential for body growth, important for nerve conduction, muscle contraction, water ion balance in body fluids. Potassium, vitamin K. And then you have oxygen, symbol O. Symbol O. Part of water and organic compounds that are essential to many life processes. Part of water and organic compounds that are essential to many life processes. Carbon, symbol C. Approximate percentage of human body, 18.5. That's 18.5. 18.5. Basic component of all organic compounds. Basic component of all organic compounds. Hydrogen, symbol H. Hydrogen, approximate percentage of human body, has a 9.5 weight. 9.5 weight. Part of water and organic compounds. Nitrogen, symbol N. Approximate percentage of human body, 3.2. 3.2. Part of all protein and nucleic acids molecules. Part of all protein and nucleic acid molecules. Part of all protein and nucleic acid molecules. Calcium, approximate percentage of human body, 1.5. 1.5. Necessary for healthy bones and teeth. Muscle contraction, blood clotting, hormone production. Again, calcium, 1.5 approximate percentage of human body. Necessary for healthy bones and teeth. Muscle contraction, blood clotting, hormone production. Phosphorus at the symbol of P. Approximate percentage of human body, 1.0. Component of nucleic acids and ATP. Component of a nucleic acids and ATP. Especially important in nervous tissue, bones, and teeth. The power of phosphorus is a great reason for people to know that everyone's priceless and no amount should be even considering being worth enough to disrespect or disregard any person or life living. Sulfur, S, symbol S. Approximate percentage of human body, 0.3. 0.3. Component of many proteins. Component of many proteins. Right? Chlorine. 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 Symbol Cl. Symbol Cl. Approximate percentage of human body, 0.2. 0.2. Important for water movement between cells. Important for water movement between cells. Important for water movement between cells. Sodium, Na. Symbol Na. Approximate percentage of human body, 0.2. Approximate percentage of human body, 0.2. Component of extracellular fluid. Component of extracellular fluid. Critical to nerve and muscle response. Maintains proper water balance in blood. Maintains proper water balance in blood. Magnesium. Symbol Mg. Symbol Mg. 0.1. Adds an identified service in muscle contraction and nerve transmission. Aids in muscle contraction and nerve transmission. Aids in muscle contraction and nerve transmission. Helps in muscle contraction and nerve transmission. Iodine. Symbol I. It's less than 0.1. Less than 0.1. Necessary for production of thyroid hormone by thyroid gland. Necessary for production of thyroid hormone by thyroid gland. Iron, Fe. Iron, Fe is the symbol, Fe. Basic oxygen binding component of hemoglobin. Basic oxygen binding component of hemoglobin. Basic oxygen binding component of hemoglobin, Fe. Less than 0.1. Elements that make up less than 0.1% of the body are known as trace elements. Trace elements. Trace elements. Some of the more common ones are cobalt, copper, fluorine, iodine, iron, manganese, silicone, and zinc. Namaste. Everything in the universe is composed of matter, which is anything that occupies space and has mass. Mass refers to the amount of matter in an object. Mass is not the same as weight. Weight is the measurable gravitational attraction of the earth for an object. Mass refers only to the amount of matter, not its weight. Matter is composed of elements, which are chemical substances that cannot be broken down into simpler substances by ordinary chemical means. Elements are represented Raise your key energy, raise your key energy, raise your key energy. Elements are represented by either one or two letter symbols. For instance, H is the symbol for the element hydrogen, O stands for oxygen, and Na stands for sodium. Currently, 106 elements are known. 92 of which occur naturally. New elements are still being created in laboratories. About 24 elements are found in living organisms, and 4 of them, oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen, account for 96% of the body's weight. Oxygen makes up about 65%, carbon about 18%, hydrogen about 10%, and nitrogen about 3%. Several of the elements most important to human beings are listed in table 2.1. I just read those following elements, along with the roles they play in various vital chemical processes. Each element is composed entirely of its own chemically distinct kind of atom. Distinct kind of atom. An atom is the smallest unit of an element that retains. Smallest unit of an element that retains the chemical characteristics of that element. Again, an atom is the smallest unit of an element that retains the chemical characteristics of that element. So, to retain the chemical characteristics of that element, it can totally utilize itself right to its atomic number outside of the different valences, because that's the lending amount of time around the atom. If it's going to actually, it's a particular orbit, but it's not an orbit, it's a valence. And available is this amount lent that it can lend itself due to compatibility, making different types of bonds, which would be a different organic compounds. So, therefore, atoms are not solid bits of matter. In fact, even atoms of the most densest substances consist mostly of space. Atoms have 2 main parts, a central nucleus and the surrounding electron field. The nucleus contains 2 kinds of particles, the positively charged proton and the uncharged neutron. So the neutron is where it gets its break from bringing forth, carrying out the task. And the proton is the continuation of it, you know. I'm sure you do. All right, Brother King, Sister Queen, give the Most High a great honor and praise. And just know that you're doing your best. And your best is more than enough. Congratulations. Congratulations. The love of the Most High is real. Know that. Notes, memos. So, therefore, pay your notes some attention to detail and write your memos as detailed as you would like to make them express your current self, so you can have that as your atom, and your notes are your valences, and your electrons are what you're going to build off of those, you know. and what you're going to build off of those without depleting, what you're going to give as the result of who you're going to actually become. How do you learn to explain it further for the furthering advancement of education or intellectualism to further be protected and remove the disadvantages without degradation, and having the opportunity to know that there's a nucleus to be protected. So just as much as the person is being brought as the understander, then knowing that this moment allows a person to say every patient or person or resident that is approached should not be approached with your electrons and notes. They should be approached with your protons and memos. So a person can nurture the neutrons later. The neutrons are where the divinity of how everything's being held together of the Most High, that praise break, that is going to be there, because knowing that even when that's called the gray area, making sure that, oh my goodness, if a person knew that things would appear the way that they appeared, or the opportunities would present at the proper time of the timeline and everything, then a person would have had more breathing room to get out everything, except understanding the positivity of the Most High, or the electrons of the Creator. The things that seem imperfect or modulate as imperfect are the exact, true, protective measures of the neglected words that the Most High couldn't find a vessel to say verbatim. So even your imperfections are perfect, as opposed to knowing that the effect of the purr of God, no one wants to use their ATP to totally adhere to, this is the only moment to build up before this type of opportunity is completely not available. And a person is astute enough to put forth, even if it's just a worther's worth of effort, by gosh, that's good enough for God. You did something. And because only you're going to walk away and think what else you could have put forth. And that's where the true tenacity is there, because then that's where symbolism is a part of just being able to, and that's when the person goes into this opening of awakening of like, well, how can I honor you? How can I say the location's gone, the time's gone, the opportunity, but I must carry out these tasks. I don't want these words to go. How can I plant these? Because God, opportunities that seem imperfect are just going to pick up seeds of greatness. All right. So let's continue. We'll continue to contrast off of goodness. Leave the contrast and the contour of to the content of the character, and that was just to show the different key energies, key energies to the greater self. So moving forward. The nucleus contains two kinds of particles, the positively charged protons, P+, and the uncharged neutrons, N exponential of 0. The hydrogen atom is the only one without any neutrons in the nucleus. That's why it's pivotal to say great words. That's the power of impression. It has no nucleus because once that disrespect destroys ever wanting to ask God to make the paths meet up again, and you can't go straight to the top and blast up because you started from very humble beginnings. And when you come together, it should be nonstop. You gotta go like you know the universe is gonna have your back for sure. And make sure you to the door that you're getting MO. Make sure you do it some more. Make sure you know that confidence is the goal. Make sure you move with it in your soul. Never leave without the keys to success. Divine masculine and divine feminine. Balanced. The hydrogen atom is the only one without any neutron in the nucleus. Moving around the nucleus are negatively charged particles called electrons, E with the exponential of a hyphen. Modern atomic theory describes these electrons as existing in an electron field or cloud, which is a way of saying that any one electron cannot definitely be found at any given point at any particular moment in time. Modern atomic theory describes these electrons as existing in an electron field or cloud, which is a way of saying that any one electron cannot definitely be found at any given point at any particular moment in time. Atomic number and atomic weight. If all atoms except hydrogen are composed of protons, neutrons, and electrons, how do we account for the differences in the elements? The chemical and physical properties of an atom are determined by the number of protons and neutrons in its nucleus and by the number and arrangement of electrons surrounding the nucleus. The number of protons is critical. The atomic number of an element is the number of protons in the nucleus of one of its atoms. The number of protons is critical. The atomic number of an element is the number of protons in the nucleus of one of its atoms. The atomic number alone can identify an element. For instance, if an atom has one proton, it is hydrogen. If an atom has 8 protons, it is oxygen. If an atom has 8 protons, it is oxygen. Shows how protons, neutrons, and electrons are distributed in the atoms of some common elements. Negatively charged electrons moving around the nucleus form an electron field or cloud. The nucleus is composed of electrically neutral neutrons, which are gray, and positively charged protons, which is red. Note that in figure 2.2, the number of protons in any atom of a given element is always the same as the number of electrons. The number of protons in any atom of a given element is always the same as the number of electrons. In other words, the number of positive charges, protons, and the number of negative charges, electrons, are equal. As a result, the negative and positive charges cancel each other and the atom is neutral. As a result, the negative and positive charges cancel each other, and the atom is neutral. That is, it has no overall electrical charge. Another measure of an atom is its atomic weight, which expresses the relative weight of an element compared with carbon. Another measure of an atom is its atomic weight, which expresses the relative weight of an of an element. Pardon the typo, pardon me. Element compared with carbon. Another measure of an atom is its atomic weight, which expresses the relative weight of an element compared with carbon. The atomic weight of carbon has been designed as 12. Thus, an atom of hydrogen with an atomic weight of 1 is about 1/12 as heavy as an atom of carbon. Thus, an atom of hydrogen with an atomic weight of 1 is about 1/12 as heavy as an atom of carbon, and an atom of calcium with an atomic weight of 40. And an atom of calcium with an atomic weight of 40 is about 3.3 times as heavy as a carbon weight. So if carbon has an atomic weight designated at 12, then it's about 3.3 times. So that's exactly 36.3.96 times as heavy as a carbon atom. The approximate atomic weight of a few elements are given in the last column of the chart of the table. Not bad. Never accurate. Always great to be accurate. Trust yourself. Check yourself. So next, we're actually going to delve into ATP thymine, and instead of a 2-hour chapter, this is going to actually be a 3 to 4 hour chapter. So this is part 1. So the severity and seriousness and the comfort can be built on it, how important the foundation of going into isotopes next. So for this first moment, review the elements: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, chlorine, sodium, magnesium, iodine, copper, fluorine, iron, manganese, cobalt, silicon, and zinc. And make sure that those are given some attention to detail, and make note cards as well as a 1 to 2-page paper showing exactly how many atoms, electrons, and protons each one of those elements have. Have a great, 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 great moment in time spending this time on the topic of essentials of body chemistry, matter, elements, and atoms. I am Dr. Shockrageous. Congratulations, you're on your way. Happy in service.